welcome to Show and Talk. I'm sitting with Chris Burkmenn from the Chris Burkmenn Experience. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming to the show, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. See, I really like podcasts. We had to stop and start all over again. This is totally we're not formal at all here, so it was really cool. So we had to stop and start all over again. So this is why I like podcasts, because if you listen to Nerdist, they're just having a conversation, and then all of a sudden, we can hear them. And I enjoy that part. But I also kind of like being formal because you have the video, so it's a little weird to figure out exactly what to do.
So true.
So I'm going to ask you again, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. I'm here in Nashville on this rainy day, but flowers need rain, so.
Exactly. Yeah, I was in California for a while, and we had a drought, and then it started raining right before I left, which they don't know how to drain their streets, so that was interesting, trying to walk. There were certain streets that I couldn't even cross because there were puddles everywhere. So that was fun.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I couldn't complain because they hadn't had rain for months. So it was really good, yeah.
Well, that's crazy because one time I was in Vegas and it just monsooned.
Oh, wow.
They don't have, I'm thinking California and Las Vegas are a little bit similar in their drainage. And it was just, you were swimming to get where you needed to go.
The entire street was flooded pretty much, right?
Yeah, it's just insane. So.
Yeah, so I've got my rain boots on. You can't see them, but I love them. I might put a clip in.
They're yellow.
Yeah, I know. They make me feel like a superhero. I wanted to take them to LA, and I'm just because it was raining when I left Nashville, and I'm like, I'm not going to need these. And then I wish I had them.
You got
Yeah. So maybe next time I will take them with me. If nothing else, I'll just walk around like a superhero. I don't think it'll look that different. So
I think you should. I think everyone should have rain boots. I don't. I need to get some, but they just add coolness to you.
They do. They're one of my favorite purchases, and I get compliments on them all the time now.
And they're yellow.
I know, and they're Converse. They're actually the most comfortable Converse that I've ever worn. Yeah,
I didn't
all the other ones are
Converse
super flat. I don't think they do anymore because they made black ones, and when I saw them, I'm like, I don't really need two pairs of rain boots. I mean, you do, but I don't. But then I was thinking, and I do a lot of crew work, so I have to wear all black. And I'm like, this would be really good if I was outside in the doing a truck or something. I could wear my black rain boots. So I went to go get them, and I couldn't find them, and I can't find them anywhere now.
What happened?
I guess they just stopped making them, so I feel really special that I got these.
Yeah, that's crazy. Everyone needs rain boots. We should start a protest.
We should. Or we'll make our own.
I like that. Show and talk boots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have no idea how to make boots.
I don't. But wrong person here.
We'll figure it out. I've got a friend that wants to be a fashion designer, so I'll ask her to figure out how to make boots.
Perfect, yes. Yeah. Maybe she can make them and just take majority of or split it or something on the revenue or something.
Yeah, exactly. You put my logo on it, we'll put other little logos on it. And
like Ellen.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything should be like Ellen.
I know. Life should be like Ellen.
Speaking of Ellen, so you had your 25 days of Ellen.
How
did that go?
Oh my goodness, it went so great. I really just got really into it and had a lot of new people traffic to my page and just commenting on how much they enjoyed it. And going home for the holidays made for things to talk about. Because people, what is this Ellen thing? Did you win? I didn't. You can't really win. I just started it myself.
Yeah.
And so when I was at home at Thanksgiving, my sister and my grandma and I were sitting around, we were watching, we were talking, and I said, Grandma, have you ever seen the Ellen DeGeneres Lincoln commercial? She said, no, I have not. So we watched it, and we died laughing, and then I said, well, I would love to be on it. My sister brilliantly said, you should do something where you can get on, 25 Days of Ellen. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. And then she said, you should call Ellen and video it. Yes! I'm doing it. So she just helped me so much. And Lauren Blacalb was a huge help. She photoshopped all the photos because I don't do very well with Photoshop. But, we had a vision, and I think it went really well. So.
Yeah, they're cool. They looked great.
Thank you.
It was obvious it was photoshopped only because I couldn't imagine you actually being in those places. But they looked amazing. If I hadn't known, I'm like, oh, hey, he's off everywhere. Just hanging
Some
out
were a little scary, and I wanted him to be unbelievable because when I get on Ellen, I want her to be, whoa, these are bad. They're supposed to be. So it was a lot of fun.
Again, it'll give you something to talk about. So. So, and it's kind of amazing how, like, social media in general has allowed for so many doors to open. Like, even, I don't know if you're familiar with the actor Stephen Amell. He plays Arrow on the show Arrow. But he's really big in social media and kind of talking with people. Like, he'll even, once a week, will have different memes and photos and stuff people have. Like, he puts them up. Like, they're amazing. And so one of the things, like, he just kind of talked and that he really wanted to be on, I think, Late Night with Seth Meyers. And so, obviously, he has a big fan base, and everyone's just kind of tweeting to Seth Meyers and say, hey, you should have Stephen Amell on the show. And so, like, 2 weeks later, he's booked to be on Seth Meyers.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just crazy, like, how social media allows these things to happen. And even with, like, TV shows, I remember when I got into Twitter, one of the big things that I did, the show Chuck was on. I'm a big nerd. So, but yeah, it was, like, season 1 of Chuck, and everyone was, like, trying to save Chuck. And so I'm like, well, you're going to create a Twitter account and help try to save Chuck.
And it worked.
It did. Yeah, it lasted for 5 years.
That's
so
awesome.
All mostly because of social media and everything. So it's
Yeah.
just, it's awesome how, like, we're able to kind of do that now and get people to connect. And it's changing the way that people see, like, you've got the Nielsen ratings that are still out there and they're still kind of going with that. But I mean, web series, everything that's up there right now, like, it's just totally blowing up. So
It's so true, and it's crazy to think the impact that you can make on people through social media. I mean, there's so many people who you never even met before until you've been on Twitter.
yeah,
And they know all about you, you know? And I think it's really cool. Someone who I really look to for that source is Taylor Swift. She's just so connecting with her fans. There's no line that separates, you know, it's in between people. That's why she gets so many people loving her, because there's not that celebrity line, like, you can't talk to her because she's a celebrity, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
yeah. Did you see the video of, like, the presents and stuff that she gave?
Yes.
So, yeah, it totally made me cry.
Oh.
And I think the best part about that is not even so much that she did all that for her fans, but that she was able to go online and, like, find out about them. Because everyone always, like, for celebrities, like, they'll talk about them. So, like, if I'm talking, or no one ever really talks about themselves, like, with celebrities. They're always kind of like, oh, what you do is so great, or I love it when you did this, or I love it when you did that. But they don't really have that personal connection. But she went out and got that personal connection. Like, she found out the stuff that people liked, what they didn't like, and didn't just say, oh, hey, here's a signed picture of my face.
Yes,
it was like,
exactly.
they're very personal gifts.
Yes.
And I thought that was the best part about it.
I did too, and I just wish, I think that there should be more people like that out in the world.
Yeah.
Especially in that platform. Because people that actually give back and care about people mean so much more than people that just care about themselves, you know, and not to name names, but I just think Taylor Swift does a really good job of keeping it, you know, friendly. You know,
Yeah.
that's the best thing I can think of, so.
Yeah, for sure. So I think there is going to be a big push toward that. Like, eventually people are not, I'm not going to say they're not going to be popular, like, they'll still be really good at what they do, but now instead of being in tabloids and stuff, like, the way to become the it person is going to be through social media and interacting with your fans.
Yes, and I just think it opens, social media opens a platform like never before, you know, and that's where viral videos get started. That's where it all starts in social media, I feel like now, and even actors are getting discovered on social media. It's just insane to even think the possibilities are endless and limitless.
So, very awesome.
Yes.
Cool. Let's talk about you a little bit, and
Okay.
we'll get your origin story.
I'm not used to talking about myself. I'm used to talking about others, so let's turn that on.
I
Turn
know.
that off.
It'll be a little weird, but I think you're the expert, so you should be okay on this.
Okay.
Yes. It's always weird whenever I do these interviews because, like, I go and will research the person that I have, so then it kind of feels like I'm partially stalking them right before I see them. It's just awkward all the time. But I'm going to talk about you anyway.
Okay.
So going back to just kind of like your theater background and everything there, like, what kind of got you to Nashville, like that whole journey that brought you here? Tell us a little about that.
Well, I moved to Nashville in June of 2009. I came to a place in my life where I thought, where do I want to go and what do I want to do? And Nashville kept popping up in my mind. And when I was a kid, I wanted to move to LA. So I thought, move to LA. I had it all planned out. And then my parents were, no, that's not happening. You're moving to LA. It's too far away. So I said, okay. So my friend had moved to Nashville, and I thought, maybe I should visit. And so I visited, and I just really fell in love with the city. And the church that I go to now was a big part in me moving as well. And just felt so connected to the people and the life that they love. They love life, and I love people who love life, and I want to, I think it's just contagious. You want to be around those kind of people, and so when I moved, I knew one person. That was it, and I didn't even know really what I wanted to do. I knew I loved to act, and I thought, well, okay, I'm going to move here and I'm going to act. And my mom was just, everybody really. You're going to act in Nashville? It's just, well, I feel like I need to go. And that's the thing. That's the funny thing about dreams, is because people, they're going to question. They aren't going to understand. But I think if you truly believe in yourself and where you want to go, it doesn't matter what other people say. It only matters what you believe and what you know. And so that was kind of my journey. And, just started meeting people through random things that I would go to. And now I know a good amount of people. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, awesome. So with all the people kind of questioning your decision to move here, did it make it more difficult to move here, or did it kind of strengthen your desire to say, yes, I know this is where I need to be?
Well, I think it made it difficult because you felt like you were moving on your own, and you are, but I think it makes it more real when you're pretty much, I have to do this. I have to believe in myself because, people don't understand. I would call my mom and I'd call my dad and be struggling, just, I don't know what I'm doing. And they tried to be encouraging. They were very encouraging. I love my family, but they don't always understand what you're doing. And I think that's a hard part because I really am on my own,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you come from a creative background in your family?
I was very creative, kind of crazy creative. I wasn't very good at art, but I loved acting. And, even when I was a kid, my sister and I would just be silly. We would sing and just dance to random stuff. She loved NSYNC. I loved Destiny's Child. That was who I grew up with, and I just loved Beyonce. And so we would just be silly. And as I grew, I had other sisters, obviously, and they shared my passions. And so we would just put on little things, not for anyone to see, just random silly plays and stuff. But so I was very creative. My stepmom's a teacher, and so she's very supportive and she's very helpful, and that was always, she's just such a positive person in my life. And it's so funny because I was just talking about this the other day. I couldn't see my parents together, because there's just so much support in both places, and I'm very blessed to have two families on two different sides. So.
Well, so once you got to Nashville, then you got in with the audience company?
I did.
Cool.
I did.
Was that pretty much right away, or did you kind of wander around a bit and then get there?
Well, I'm a determined person. I'm a very determined person, and I think that is one word that describes me. When I was moving to Nashville, I emailed CMT, and I said, how can I go to the CMT Awards? And this woman emailed me back and said, we don't have a way for you to go, but if you contact this person, which is Mama Sue, my boss, you could go. And so I did, and I ended up going to the CMT Award audition, and I met Suzanne, Mama Sue, and I said, no, she'll tell this story differently than I will, but it's completely true. I said to her, I looked at her and I said, my name's Chris, and I'm going to make it in this town. And she was overwhelmed because there's so many people around her, and I just thought that she needed to know, which she didn't even know me. And she just said, okay, all right, thank you, have a good day. So our paths crossed again, and we ended up hitting it off really well, even though I thought she did not like me, but she did, she really did, and she's been such an important person in my life as my boss, and definitely a mentor, for the industry, because she's just so smart. And I just owe a lot to her, and I'm very thankful for her. But how I really got hired on was we had a spot that needed to be filled, and she knew I needed work, and we were working for CMT Hot 20 Countdown. And so that's where I first got in regularly, and since then it's been just a dream.
Yeah, awesome. So you get to work with a lot of people that are kind of like yourself, like aspiring and coming up and just wanting to be surrounded by it. So
it's very cool, and I think it's such a Audco is such a great place to work for, and it's such a great place to be in Nashville because it provides people with opportunities. And I think your whole life you see these things on TV and you think, how can I be a part? And they help you to be a part, and it's not always paid, but it's fun, and especially if you want to meet people.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Now that you've been working in the industry a bit more, like, has it changed your opinion of what it was like before you came here?
It has. I think before I came here, I was very naive to the industry. I thought things just happened, and it taught me that, you know, they're real too. These artists are real. These actors are real. These people are real people, and they're working. And so, you know, it's intimidating to be around it because, you know, they are working. So you're just like biting your tongue because you don't want them to say that you know, take him away. You know, so. But they're real, so that's the most because I used to be just completely in love with Kelly Clarkson, just infatuated, and then I was around her, and she's a great person, a really wonderful person, but you know, she's real, and I need to understand that.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of just like celebrity in general, and kind of one of the things that, because I've worked with a lot of people just kind of growing up, just been surrounded by that, so it's always really interesting to see, one, like how fans interact with people that I consider friends, and then also just how my friends interact, like when they're with me and other friends versus when they have to be with fans. And I think it's exhausting for both parties because you put people on like such a high pedestal, and then if you have that one opportunity to meet them, then for a lot of people, like it totally crushes them because they've put that up there. But then there's so much pressure on the people like to perform and be on their best behavior at all times, so like they can't really be a person. So I think it's a really difficult thing, but...
Oh, definitely, and, you know, I think when you... Because, I mean, I even believed it. When you meet your favorite artist or your favorite person, you think, when I meet them, that's going to be the best, and we're going to instantly be friends, and we're going to call each other, and we're going to talk and laugh, but it just doesn't work like that, you know? I mean, not to crush anyone's dreams, but sometimes it does. I mean, if you're Taylor Swift, it does.
Yeah. Awesome. So Oddco is kind of what got you into being able to do the Chris Burkmenn experience. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, it did. When we were doing CMT Hot 20 Countdown, we were working with audience, and it was about August. We saw a slight decline in numbers for our audience, and when we did, we, as a team, came together. It was Mama Sue, Misty, my coworker, which she's amazing, and myself, and we thought, and Brandon, but he wasn't, he had another job at the time, so he wasn't as involved at this moment. But so when we came together, we thought, what can we do to increase our numbers? And so we thought, well, let's have a lunchtime performance, you know, by an artist from Nashville. And my coworker said, well, why don't you put it online and why don't you interview them? And we call it Lunch with Chris Burkmenn. I love it. I think it's great. So I talked to my boss about it. And she said, I think it's great, but I don't like Lunch with Chris Burkmenn. Let's call it the Chris Burkmenn Experience. And so I thought, great. I mean, I'm completely glad that you're on board with it, and I'm liking the title. And so it's been really great. You know, I've really enjoyed it. It taught me a lot about life and a lot about what I want to do.
Cool. Had you ever thought of, I know you have done acting in the past, but had you ever really thought about hosting before then?
I had taken a class back in 2010. I grew up a huge fan of Carson Daly, and I also watched CMT and watched their video countdown, and Lance Smith was taking a class, or teaching a class in Franklin at Alan Dysart's School of Acting, and he taught it, and when we were there, I just really was comfortable on camera, and I really enjoyed hosting, because I used to pretend, I know this is so crazy, when I was a kid, I used to pretend I was Carson Daly in my mirror, and just, you know, this, welcome to TRL, you know, and so when I did that, I just got really comfortable being in that place, and so when I took that class, I just was really confident, and he just gave me some great feedback and said, I think you're really good at what you do, I think you stand a chance, and I think just don't give up, look for opportunities, look for ways, because I really wanted to work for CMT as a host. That was my dream, and I think, you know, it's still, I love CMT, it's one of my favorite networks, but, you know, I think the web is just definitely the way of the future, so I really love hosting online.
Yeah. Cool. So the concerts for the audience kind of stopped after a little while, but you kept the show going. Like, was there ever a time when you're kind of like, oh, well, maybe we'll be done with this, or after you started, you're always like, nope, this is what I'm doing? Well,
we did the first one, which was Candy Carpenter, and she performed. But we, you know, obviously we had a live audience, but we couldn't tape it because it just didn't sound right and we didn't have the equipment. And, the second one was Jen Bostic, and she did a performance. Still didn't sound right, but the interview just was such a great product. I was so proud of that interview, and when we did that, I was convinced that I was where I was supposed to be. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and also, even opposition comes when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I knew that if I was facing opposition, then I was obviously going in the right direction, and I still feel that way. So, so yes, but
Yeah. Awesome.
yeah. So.
Very cool. You talked in one of the other interviews that you have, that you've done as well, about this kind of overcoming obstacles and insecurities, and from like when you were a kid and moving to Nashville and everything here too. Are there any things that have helped you kind of get through that?
Yes, I've had quite a few things. God has definitely helped me so much. The Word. My rock is the Word and my church. I'm so thankful for my church and the Word, and I think also just people around me. I think you can learn a lot from people and learn a lot from their mistakes. And I'm in love with studying people, because I'm like, okay, how did they overcome this obstacle? How did they do this? And so that has been definitely. But the Word is such an important thing in my life, and I didn't grow up as a Christian. I did. We were Catholic, and I went to PSR, but I didn't even know what the Bible was. I didn't even know what Jesus did for me, and I went every week. But I think you have to find it for yourself, and that was just definitely an encouraging place for me. So, and I think, people should find that encouraging place, whatever it may be. For me it was the Lord, but for other people it's so different for everybody else. So.
So on your show, you interview a lot of people that are kind of up and coming in Nashville, and you say that you won't just randomly have someone on there. It's someone that you need to know. So how do you find out about these people and go about the process of getting them on there?
Well, we've done a lot of different avenues for that. When we first started, there was a lot of people that we knew and a lot of people that we believed in. Candy Carpenter we knew through Misty, and she had a relationship through Dolly Parton, because her manager at the time, I don't know if it still is, but at the time it was Dolly Parton, so I'm assuming it is still. And so that was one, and then we also... Jen Bostic was another one that was a really good friend of mine. She went to my church, and I heard her voice, and I thought, definitely need to have her on, and so she's definitely been a good friend of mine. But we've also went through PR firms. I liked that avenue. I didn't love it, because the artist doesn't really know who you are, and they don't really know what you're doing, so it's not always easy for them to get behind the support, because they think you're just interviewing them because that's what you do. And for us, it's not just an interview, it's us coming alongside the artist and investing in them. And Elizabeth Lyons was one we did find through PR firm, and she's been a great friend, and I'm just really excited to see her career taking off right now. And Twitter has been another huge avenue, and Ainsley Britton we found through her. She's got such a great heart and such a great drive. She does Unveiled campaign and interviews people who've struggled with eating disorders and different things, and just really makes videos to help empower people. And just the heart that she had was really cool, because she's young and not everyone cares about those things, but I think it's cool that she does. And Carly Pierce was another one we found through Twitter, and she was definitely I didn't even know about her. I had kind of seen her and heard of her, but never really, Carly Pierce. But when we did have her on, it was just one of those moments where I love what I do, because she's just a phenomenal talent, and she's just brought so many people to the show, and I've been very grateful for her.
Awesome. Yeah. So you've recently branched away, like you were initially doing music, and now lots of different people, like Ainsley, and you had Misty Hale and everything. Was that a conscious thing that you decided to do, or is kind of seeing that lots of people have stories?
Well, when we started, I didn't know. I knew where I wanted to go. I knew I loved artists, but Mandy Hale is such a good friend of mine. She is a single woman, and she is a writer. And when we were talking, I just said she was one of the first supporters of my web show. She would tweet about it and just was so nice, because she's got 600,000 followers. So a tweet from her was like, whoa, it was really generous for her to tweet. And so when she did that, I thought, I need to have her on. There's such an audience, such a niche that she's filling that's being untapped before her. And so that was where I really thought, why not? I've had some people that message me and have asked to be on who do things that are kind of similar but very far off from it, and I'm hesitant because I'm if they're not really from Nashville, or if they're not really a part of the Nashville community, I'm hesitant because that's what keeps us, Nashville is the heart of the show, and so.
So even with your goals to have the show go national, were you still planning on keeping it local to Nashville?
I would love to keep it to Nashville. I would love for the people, because it's crazy how many people have a connection with Nashville. Because, Lansfer we had on is in LA, but he has been here for years. He was here before he moved there, so he had a tie, and each person somehow, so as long as they, love Nashville, the community, I like to say invested, but I would really like to keep this show to that, because I think it's just, if we're only promoting major artists, where would be room for the small artists? How would they be groomed? How would they be prepared for what I believe is next, So.
Very cool. So a lot of the artists that you have, you were talking earlier about just kind of seeing, being excited to see them rise to success. What do you think makes a difference between an artist that might be really good versus another one that has a lot more success?
I think the difference is a lot of the times branding. I know that sounds so silly because we're in a time where branding is everything, and you're branding constantly. And Twitter is a way to help you build your brand, and Facebook and YouTube. So I always, lately people will come up to me and just say, I really like what you do. How do I get there? And I give it to even the artists, is what can you do where you are? How can you make, your dreams start happening now? Because if you're waiting for your dreams to come true, you're never going to get there. Because it's, okay, when I get there. No, it doesn't need to be when you get there. It needs to be, what can I do now? So.
Yeah, and there's so many, even just trying to get to other places, people fall so much trying to get there, and it's really easy to get discouraged about it. And that's one of the things you kind of talk about, a lot, is just keeping up encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel that through the show that you're doing and the community that you're creating, that it's kind of helping encourage people to get to the goals that they want to have?
I think so. I think with the show, we're a pioneer. We're pioneering because it's something that's never been done before. And if it has, there's shows that do similar to what we do, but we're empowering the artists. So we're pioneering the way, and I think people really need that pioneer, because when you have that person that's leading the way, you think, wow, they took that step. They did that first. Then I can start what I need to do. I'm a host, but there are singers, there are writers, there are actors who I think can all take that example and move forward, because it's not scary when someone else has done it, and we need those people to go before us, because if they don't, a lot of people will never go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a lot of people that when they talk about success and why they think they get there, they always talk about their team, and a lot of people that haven't got there that far, they don't understand quite the importance of having that support and everything. So.
It's so true. With the show, we have so many people that have helped with this show and that believed in the CBEX, the Chris Burkmenn experience. And I could not. I just host. I just interview. Without them, it would just be me talking in a room,
Yeah.
And from the people that help with the videos, Andy Burchett, he shoots and he puts the time in setting the cameras together, kind of like Tom. and we have Allison Getty, and she edits, which, oh my gosh, such a gift. And Courtney Roman was helping, and she's been a huge attribute. And we also have a gentleman named Cameron that helps edit, because that's so tedious, as you know editing can be. And so those people, and Lauren, she helped with my 25 Days of Ellen. She's been a huge part in helping with the Chris Burkmenn experience. And I think you too, as you go through things, you kind of learn who is the right fit, who's not a right fit, who maybe needs to go forward in another direction, not with you, And that's not saying that they're a bad person. It's just it didn't fit. You know, you're not a right fit for what we're doing. And so anyone that has helped, I mean, I only have best wishes and good thoughts to them. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that like life is seasons. Like we have like our seasons, like winter, spring, summer, etc. But like that's the way life goes
The
too.
cameras just stopped. We reached 30 minutes, so now I got to recue these.
All right, no worries.
oh my gosh. So
That's fine.
sorry.
It was in a good
Not
stopping
trying
point.
to make the editing job any more
The
difficult.
only thing I'd say is keep your good volume sometimes, but you kind of ebb and flow.
Okay.
Down. So try to keep it
Keep it
up a
consistent.
little bit.
Okay.
And you were scooting further and further away. So okay.
Not
All
because
Not
I
that
didn't like
scary,
you.
I
I don't know why I
promise.
did that.
All right, we're back on. Let me slay this
All right.
part 2.
Yeah, and what I'll do anyway is kind of similar, like how you have yours. Like the interviews will be in parts.
Okay, cool.
Second part, 3 camera
Well,
shoot.
and yeah, just let me know, and I'll definitely tweet it out and
Okay.
help support. And I liked yours page, and I followed your page, and I'll have people follow it as
Oh,
well.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Got to help support.
Yeah.
Rolling.
Awesome. I don't remember what we were talking about.
We were talking about people, and you said seasons.
Oh yes. So there are seasons. It's going to be an awkward edit, so I'll just keep going. We'll just go into whatever
Yes.
seems to happen here. But yeah, so there are lots of seasons in life, and people think that if something fits them at one point, that they're supposed to do it forever, and then they kind of feel bad about not doing that. And sometimes we're supposed to work through it, but at other times, like what we're doing, may be prepping us for something that happens next, and not necessarily for that thing for the long term. So.
I completely agree. I think it's seasons, winter, spring, summer, fall. I mean, your life is in seasons, and even chapters too. You know, you learn so much through those times, and they really, it's the journey and not the destination.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm always fascinated by people's journey. Like, it's great to see where they are, but figuring out like how they got there. And because some people have like such similar ones and end up in totally different places, and other people, it's just like completely different journeys. Yet we all end up in the exact same place.
Yes, I completely agree.
So much fun. Okay, so you grew up listening to a lot of music, and like you're now in Music City. Like, did you ever have any aspirations of being a musician?
Yes, I did. I did. And there are some tracks out there which don't listen to them. They're so unbelievably bad.
I promise not to look for them. I can't promise what other people do.
They're so bad. When I was a kid, I used to deal with things by writing music. And so I would, when I was a kid, I had like this book stapled together and wrote lyrics on lyrics, and there were some just crazy stuff because it's almost like a journal. And I titled it from the beginning of the end or something, and then I ended up taking some of the songs and making them into a recording. But I just didn't feel like that's where I really needed to be. I'm more of a person that loves finding out things than I am singing. Singing. I can talk in front of people, but I can't sing in front of people. So yeah, bad. But yes, and in Nashville's such a city of talent. I mean, I couldn't even compete. I mean, I couldn't even. No, I'm not a singer, but I love music. Like you said, I'm infatuated by music. I love to find out silly details that don't even matter, like number ones. And someone challenged me the other day and said, I love Reba, not fanatically, but I like learning about her, especially her age and her career is still going strong. Someone said that Carrie Underwood and Miranda Lambert were the only artists to have a number one hit, in the past 5 years. And I said, well, I know that's not true for a fact because I know Reba McEntire had a song, Consider Me Gone, that was number one. So, but like, I mean, who would spout that off? So, yeah.
So do you have like a lot of those things where you just kind of know them, like almost like still as if you were pretending to be on TRL, like you just have all these random facts?
Oh my goodness, yes, TRL I was obsessed. I had, back in the day with VCRs, I would tape each episode, and I really like Kelly Clarkson, so I really just wanted to see where she charted. But I would just watch the whole thing, and then I would tape over each day to make sure I got the Kelly Clarkson video, because you didn't have DVR. You couldn't find out what your favorite artist ranked, and internet was there, but it wasn't always accurate. So.
Yeah, especially in the beginning, like early '90s.
Oh my god,
I remember, I think I got my first computer in '98. or at least like the first one that was able to go on the internet, and that was when AOL was really big. And so I remember every time I would power it up, like I would log into AOL, and then I would have like at least 2 friends that were online that would message me at the exact same moment, which was way too much for my computer, and then it shut everything down.
I loved it. I loved AOL.
Yeah.
You've got mail, and then you could chat with your friends on AIM, and that was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Now we have Facebook.
So, which, you know, it's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't chat with friends like nearly as much as I used to. But I don't know. I remember when IMDb came out, and like that was a really big thing because like I'm a huge film person, and so I'm just kind of like I can find out like what everybody was in, and I'm like, oh, and they did this and they did that, and it was so fascinating. But there wasn't, and there still really isn't like an equivalent for music. So it was, you had to watch MTV and TRL and all that stuff to like figure out where charts were and everything. So
Exactly. And disappointing, Billboard doesn't even chart their whole chart on their website because they want you to buy their magazines or subscribe online, and you can only really find out the first half. So I'm always bummed because I think, well, I want to know the whole chart. You know?
So and like SoundScan stuff isn't online either because like I had a lot of friends that were trying to figure out where they were, and it was, so there's a lot that like music doesn't have. That
I would love for it to get there, and hopefully it will for people like you and I.
Yeah.
Or I love music, so obviously.
All right. Well, speaking of TRL, we're gonna play a little game, a little trivia game. It's nothing super embarrassing, only because I didn't have a lot of time to plan something super
I'm so
embarrassing.
excited. I'm pumped. Okay.
Yes. All right. So I have some trivia questions. Most of them are able to be found on the internet.
Okay. All right.
All right. So, what year did TRL get a live audience?
98?
Close.
99.
Yes. It started in 98.
Okay. Yes,
And
it
then
did
a
start in
year
98.
later,
Okay, yes.
99.
Carson did. Okay. Yes, I'm sorry.
No worries. All right. What is the name of the country music spinoff that premiered in 2001?
Most Wanted.
Yeah. CMT Most Wanted Live.
Yes.
Excellent.
CMT Most Wanted.
All right. What is the
Lance
name?
Smith was the host.
Really? I didn't see. I think I read that on Wikipedia, but I didn't write that down,
Yes,
so I totally
sorry.
would have got that wrong if I asked myself. All right. What is the name of the guy who did the news on TRL?
John Norris. Or, John Norris, and then Sujin Pak, and then, hold on. Give me a second.
Yeah, I guess I probably should have been more specific.
No, it's okay. You're, dang it. The one I'm missing is, you're going to have to tell me.
Brian McFadden.
Oh, I don't think that was early days, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I happened to find a random clip, and he was doing the news on that one, so I'm assuming that is correct.
That is, I'm sure it is. I mean, yes.
Because he was really nervous because the person that he was doing the news about was actually the guest that time, and so like this is so weird.
I love it.
It was really adorable. All right. What SNL actor often spoofed Carson Daly?
What SNL actor often spoofed Carson Daly? I would think Will Ferrell, but no. Jimmy Fallon?
Yes.
Oh!
Which is hilarious because now he's a talk show host.
Oh, I love it.
All right.
Practice right there.
Yeah. That's where he gets it all from. Except he was really awkward when he started, so maybe he was still trying to channel his impressions of Carson Daly. All right. When did Carson Daly step down as host of TRL?
The saddest day of my life. That was it was a gradual process. I think when he really stepped down was probably about 2002.
Wikipedia says 2002.
2002.
So I think it was late 2002 because it was talking about like September 2002, and then it was gone.
They would do a little break where they would break for a few weeks,
Yeah.
and then when they returned, it was gone because he started hosting Last Call with Carson Daly.
Which, incidentally, was around the time that I started thinking about show and talks. That's how long I've had this thing. So yeah, it's kind of like, what? Carson Daly, the talk show host, and I can do it too.
Yeah, he inspired so many people. I mean, now more Ryan Seacrest, but I mean, Carson Daly is still homeboy. You know what I mean? Like, I tweet him every day. Not really, but I do tweet him. So.
No, you should. Then you can be on Last Call with Carson Daly too.
I would enjoy talking to him.
We can do a 15 days of Carson Daly.
Oh yeah.
If you don't want to do 25, because
No.
you just did that with Ellen. But
yeah, and I don't know if I could do 15 days of Carson. That would be
that's true. He's way more low key. If
Yes.
you're trying to figure out something to do for 15
he is
days.
very low key. And if you watch, I mean, I watched some TRL. was like, Carson, I mean, he's just like, hey, everybody, what's going on? And then, like, it was so funny when he would interview people because he would take on their roles. Like, he interviewed Eminem. He'd be like, yo, or, you know, something like that.
It was hilarious. Like,
Insane.
I watched it all the time, and it's like, this guy's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But you keep watching.
He was really good at what he did. He was a pioneer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, for us.
Indeed. All right, so the last question. Okay. It's going to be a tough one.
Okay.
I found it on a video. On the episode of TRL that Limp Bizkit was on there, he announced that he was changing the band's name. Do you know what he changed the band name to? I actually forgot to write it down.
Did he?
It was super random.
Super random. Fred Durst.
That would make a lot more sense. No, it was chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water. I don't know how you didn't get that one.
I don't know how he... Yeah, and why would you ever want to... He is crazy.
Yes.
I love Limp Bizkit. I don't listen to him anymore, but I did at the time, you know.
They were huge at that time, because I think that was like 2000 that interview happened. So.
They were major. I mean, it was pretty much Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears, and Limp Bizkit that ran TRL for the longest time.
Yeah. Outstanding.
That's so much, oh my gosh, that was such a good game.
Yay. It was so fun. I know, I'm racking my brain trying to think of stuff, because I want to do games each time.
I love it.
And I'm just like, I don't know. Oh, he likes TRL. We'll just do a trivia game.
I love it. I don't think I passed, but it's okay. I mean...
You're still a winner.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I knew, like, around about the times, but...
You knew way more than I would have known had I not looked it up on Wikipedia.
Tell you. So,
And Wikipedia could be wrong. You never know.
And did you, I'm sure you knew this. Vanessa Manillo, you know, she's married to Nick Lachey now. She was on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's had another baby. Just had another baby. Congratulations, Vanessa Manillo, if you're watching this. So,
I wish you many happy years with
yes.
your child.
Yes. And
That was
your
a really
Nick.
weird thing to say.
Yeah. He's a host now, too, by the way, side note.
Really?
Yeah.
I
He's
didn't
a
know
host.
that.
He's hosting on MTV, I think. Or he hosts the Sing-Off.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many other shows now. I get overwhelmed.
There are a sea of shows, and it's, you know, the talent's not as, you know, it's not like Kelly Clarkson or Carrie Underwood anymore, you know. But anyway, sorry.
Oh, no worries. So I think I've run out of things to ask. We can keep talking though.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. Or we don't have to.
Oh no, I'm down for whatever. Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I'm not a very good talker. Like, unlike you, that actually pretended to be a host, I never had any desire to be a host. It just kind of happened.
There's such a niche for that, though. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, both you and I. I mean, and I just think, I know I've said this, but I think this is so great with what you're doing. I mean, you just, there's such a need for it, and there needs to be more of it. And, you know, I just thank you for having me on, because,
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, I can't go on MTV and get on, you know what I mean? I'm going on Show and Talk, which I think is way better. Way more
Well,
fun.
and I feel like even with like the larger ones, like even with Ellen, she tries to, but there's so much time restraint. Like that's the great thing about having a web series or a podcast or anything. It's just kind of like, oh, you want to tell your story? We'll just talk until you're done, and then that's it, because we don't have to worry about putting in a commercial at a particular time or like cutting it off because we're running out of airtime. Like we just go.
Yeah.
So, and like that's what life is. Like life is not in those series of little boxes. Like sometimes things go long.
They do, and I love that you're unlimited. Sometimes I get very time restrained. I'm like, okay, we gotta get this in this time, not this long, you know. But that's so great that you do, because we don't podcast. We should. We just do it online. But our website's pretty interactive. But
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do both.
I think you should.
Yeah, like have the video part, but also have the podcast part. Because personally, like I listen to podcasts way more than I watch things on YouTube. I know it's slightly hypocritical of me, but it's just the way it is.
No, it's true.
You can't watch YouTube in your car.
No, you can't.
So,
and
or
if
while
you
you're
can,
cleaning.
it's very bad driving.
Yeah, exactly. Or like I'll listen to a podcast while I'm cleaning, and if I put on a YouTube video while I'm cleaning, then I just won't clean. I want to allow people to do both things. So
Yeah, and is TED Talks podcasted, right?
Mm-hmm.
I watched one the other day, and I just thought it was so good. She was talking about how when you're going somewhere, or when you're there and you're feeling like if you're in a big group of people and you feel very intimidated, and you just go to the bathroom and put your hands up in the air for 2 minutes or something, and then you'll walk out and you just be so much more confident. Isn't that crazy?
I need to try that.
It
Because
works.
I freak out in large crowds, which is weird because I always work in environments that have large crowds. But I have a purpose for being there, so it's easier.
Well, and sometimes I like large crowds, but sometimes it's kind of when you don't have that friend by you and you're kind of by yourself. Just like I went to this party one time and I'm waiting. I don't go to a lot of parties, but I went to this one party and it was industry, and so I'm sitting here. People aren't always very. Well, I mean, not like they're not mean in the industry, but they're not gonna go out of their way. Just, hey, how are you tonight? Just so I'm sitting here, just standing in the back, and okay, I'm by myself. Where are my friends? They didn't come for like a half hour, so I was just sitting there. And normally I would go and mingle, but they're all like cliques and groups, and it's hard sometimes.
That's slightly the downfall now about like having technology in your pocket, because then you're just kind of like, oh, I feel really awkward. I'm just gonna take out my phone. Instead of like forcing yourself to go out there and talk to people. I do it all the time.
I agree, because I think I was texting or something. But then I ran into Elizabeth Lyons, so we chatted and had a good time. And
There you go.
yeah, it's good. And it's good when you know people, because then you don't feel so lost, because you're just standing in there, and it can be crazy.
Industry things are weird though, because like we were saying, like people, it's hard because you have to put on that persona, and so like you may want to go and like make friends with people, but it's kind of like, oh well, I don't know what this is going to turn into, and so like everyone always
slip me a
needs
business card.
Yeah, or they're gonna like, I'm gonna say the wrong thing, and all of a sudden it's gonna be like all over Twitter and Facebook, and I'm gonna have to like clean up the mess of just some random comment that I made.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, it's tough. Like I wouldn't want to be that person.
Well, and I think it's just for the industry and entertainment, you constantly have to be on. You're constantly having to be on, which is fine, because I love people, but sometimes someone will catch you off guard and you'll be like, like I was driving the other day and some guy was like, and this is so silly, but I was in my car and I'm driving, and this guy's like on this lane, just like, can I get over? Can I get over? And I just wanted to be like, no, you can't get over. And I thought, okay, I really need to be nice, because I don't know who he is. He was driving a Bentley too, so I thought maybe I might cross paths with him, and he might have to invest in something I'm doing one day. So I ended up just being like, go ahead, you're fine. But the one thing I was going to tell you too, I'm really excited about. So this is the first time that I have talked about it, but more details will come. But I just found out that I'm emceeing an event made in Nashville. It's going to be September 12th at Centennial Park, and I'm really excited because it's Nashville food, Nashville businesses, and Nashville music.
Oh, wow.
And so yes, and they reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested, and I'm just really excited. I'm nervous because it's supposed to be like 5 to 7,500 or something like that, maybe even 10,000. So it's going to be very different, but I'm really excited. We're in the first beginning stages. They had it last year, and then this year they have it. And so, but they've allowed me 2 spots for artists that I've had on in the past.
That's awesome.
So I'm really excited.
Yeah, not only like is it good for you, but you get to like bring friends along and help them too.
I'm so
cool.
excited. I'm just really excited. They're such nice people, and it's going to be really great exposure for myself. And I think it's just Nashville. Like that's why, and then it all just makes sense. It's like everything with the show that I'm doing. It's just the CBEX Chris Burkmenn experience needs to be invested in the city.
Yeah.
So it really just reminds you, and it's just gonna be really cool. So really excited.
Well, I'm glad that you're staying invested in the city, because so many things like they're like, oh, I'm about the hometown, and then they get really big and just kind of go out to like LA or New York, or everything, which like there's nothing wrong with that, and there are lots of people that are in similar situations in all those cities too. But having that focused concentration, like I think it gives people that security of knowing, hey, he's always going to take care of me, not kind of like use me as a way to get someplace else. So
I know, and it's so common today when people use people, and it's just, it's always been like that, but I think even now today, it's even with social media, it's even more, because it's just, who do you trust? Who do you consider to be your core group? And I have a lot of friends, and definitely learned a lot from each friend, and each person that you meet too. Even if you meet that wrong person, I think it's always an opportunity to learn from it. Okay, well, next time I need to be more mindful not to let that crazy person around me. But it's just always good learning lessons.
it's tough, and being in a place where you have to be a personable person, like that's really hard to say, I'm not going to have this person like be part of my life. Like, you're still nice to them, but at the same time, like, you don't have to bring everybody close. And I think that's the balance that is really hard, that hopefully entertainment will figure out, is that you can still bring people close. Either you bring in the wrong people or everyone shuts everyone out, and trying to find that balance is really difficult.
And balance, yes, I completely, what you just said, I mean, that can be me, because I'll meet someone who's like, oh, we're going to be best friends, we're going to hang out all the time, and then you let them in right away, and then they'll just like suck you dry for all your resources, all your networks, which is fine, but it's just kind of disappointing, because once they have what they need, they don't, talk to you anymore, and so it can be a little discouraging. So.
Yeah.
But on that note,
I know, like, I feel like that's such a really sad thing to end on.
but I love hosting. I love what I'm doing. I love building it, and I'm just really excited for where this is going to go. And any resource that we can be, any help that you need, just let me know.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I definitely want to send people your way, because I'm excited for this whenever it comes out. So just let me know.
Which might be tomorrow.
Oh,
We'll see.
great. Okay.
Yes,
I'm excited.
I don't know.
Yeah, just let me know.
So yes, so random question.
Yes.
Then.
Random.
Theater background.
Yes.
So I wanted to talk about theater. So tell me what have you done? What do you like? Just because we didn't put that in there, so I'm
Yes.
going to awkwardly add it now because I want to know.
Theater. Okay, so when I was growing up, I found a love for theater because I'm just very expressive. So when I was in grade school, or middle school, I did Midsummer's Night's Dream. And side note too, where I knew I wanted to host, when I was I refer back to it, when I was in the 8th grade, there was a talent show in school, and we had to audition to host, and I knew I wanted that spot so bad. So I auditioned, and I got it, and that was just like the first thing I remember just being completely excited about. Yeah, it was cool. But back to plays, and so then when I got into high school, I'm very used to being put into places where I know very little people. My mom and stepdad separated, so then we moved to Fairview. Well, Fairview Heights is where I grew up. They didn't have a school system, so I had to go to Belleville. And that school was freaking large. Let's just compare it to Nashville. It was just freaking large. And I knew no one. And so when I was there, I really want to be in plays. So I started just auditioning. And a lot of times, in theater, people have who they want in it already, but I didn't care. I tried out for this Cinderella wore combat boots, and I got the Heralder. So I did that and played it well, I thought. It disappointed, but there were a lot of female roles in that, so that was kind of why. But that, and then we had The Sound of Music, and I auditioned for that. I didn't get that. They casted me as a Nazi, and then I ended up just doing set work, which was fine, sound. I think I helped run sound. And then from that, I tried out for Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, and I didn't get that. And then my big break ended up happening in, I think that's big break. When it ended up happening in my junior year, it was Crazy for You. And I was casted as Junior, and I was so excited because I don't know if you're familiar with Crazy for You. It was like a love story, and the girl was from a small town, and the guy was from New York, and he met her and wanted her to come, and so I was this cowboy, and I had a singing part in it, and I just thought, oh my gosh, this is it. And my parents were just so proud. So that was when I just really knew that that's what I wanted. I love doing it. I haven't done it lately because I've just life gets so crazy. And it requires so much work.
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought about getting back into theater, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do anything else.
No job, and they don't pay, which
Yeah.
the small ones don't.
Some of the ones here do, but even still, it's really tough, and it's months of your time. So.
It is, and you put a lot into it. And my kid I mentor works for Studio 10 in Franklin, and he loves it. He does set work and stuff.
Neat.
But so he's really excited about it. I was like, maybe I'll audition. No, I won't, because I don't have that much time, like you said. And,
yeah.
But yeah, when I graduated high school, I didn't really do very much theater. I auditioned for Into the Woods, I didn't get anything. But, you know, I didn't know anybody. It was my first audition, but so I still enjoy the thought of acting in plays, but I haven't really done one lately. But, yeah, Into the Woods, did you see that?
I haven't yet.
I want to see it. I've heard mixed reviews, but I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, my high school did it. I wasn't able to be part of it. That was actually when I started doing set work.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, I auditioned, and then I realized that I was out of town the week. I traveled a lot when I was a kid. It was really weird, because apparently most kids didn't do this. But it was, like, the same weekend that I was going to be out of town. So I'm like, oh, well, I'll help build a set.
Yeah.
So I did that. So.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Dang.
I know. That's how I got into crew stuff. I don't know. But anyways, it's not about me, and this is about to stop again. So,
Oh, yeah,
we'll go ahead
fine.
and end.
Okay.
But yeah, it was so great having you. I'm glad we're finally able to make this happen.
Yes, thank you. I'm really excited, and I had been following you, and so glad that you reached out, and we were able to make it happen.
Definitely. Thanks.
Thank
Till
you.
next time. Bye.
Bye.
I don't have the sign off thing yet.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I just realized that. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do.